is all about the evaluation approach. Hey, Aaron, how are you? So today, this episode is all about the evaluation approach, and there's basically three key points. I have my a little notebook here, little notes here, just to make sure I don't leave anything out, because I want to make sure that I don't shortchange this video, because I want you guys to use this and leverage this moving forward. Because in my opinion, let me just start off the video by saying this. In my opinion, the evaluation approach is by far above and beyond the best approach that people can use to expand and build their business with. And I'm going to talk about three things today. Number one, I'm going to talk about the psychology of the evaluation approach, why it's so good, and why it works. I'm also going to talk about why it duplicates better than any other approach. Then I'm going to talk about the different strategies of the evaluation approach, or I should say the different variations of the evaluation approach. And then I'll wrap it up by really just helping you understand how to make it fit for you personally. Because a lot of us have different personality types, and a lot of us have certain approaches that will work really, really well for us, and certain approaches that maybe won't fit our personality type. So you have to be able to be the judge of that moving forward, but at least this gives you a good idea of the evaluation approach and how it works. So let's get started with first and number one. What's up, Mr. Pierre? So let's talk about first thing. It's the evaluation approach. What is the psychology of it? Well, let's start off with what it is. The evaluation approach is an approach that you can talk to people and use to get people to evaluate the business. Okay? Just to evaluate the business. And there's several reasons why people would take time to evaluate the business, right? But the number one reason why you'll get people to evaluate the business is just to get the exposure of the business out in front of some people to see who they know. Again, it's to see who they know. It's not to try to get people in, although that will happen by accident, because the right people that see this business, when they see it, they will volunteer. Because the issue and the challenge that people has is when they first hear about the business, the majority of people are going to have preconceived notions about what they think this is, and because of that, it'll be a struggle to get them to look at it, especially if they feel like they're going to be recruited or pitched. People are going to have preconceived notions. You have to remember, this business is a solution to the problems that are out there in the traditional home-based business, networking, multi-level marketing world. We aren't a part of that world. We're a solution to that world. But people won't know that until they see the plan. And you can try to explain that to them till you're blue in the face, and it still won't work, because the plan does the job best to expose what we are and what we're not. And it differentiates us so perfectly so that when people see the plan, they realize that we're different. So then they're either going to be willing to give you referrals to people because they see it's real and you weren't trying to get them, or they might see it enough to be like, wow, this is brilliant. This is awesome. I may want to do this too. Okay? So the evaluation approach is simply an approach that gets people to evaluate the business plan in person with you, not with a video, not with a method of not engaging people to do it. To me, the most important thing is you need to engage people when you show the plan. So explaining and showing the plan to people is, to me, the only way to do it. I don't personally use videos. I just don't. Because in 19 years, I haven't seen an effective, an effective result in using videos to duplicate. I've seen it work onesie twosies here and there, but it typically doesn't duplicate because people don't pay attention to videos because they're not engaging. They're one-directional conversations. Nonetheless, we want to sit down and share with people the plan, and you can leverage your senior partners, because 2-on-1s are the best way to show the plan. But I digress. Let's get back to the evaluation approach. So let's talk about the psychology first and foremost. So now you know what the evaluation approach is. Let's talk about the psychology of the evaluation approach. And the psychology is this. A few things about the evaluation approach I want you to remember and really lock into your brain. The first part is this. I know that the people that are, the people, we don't have to talk anybody into this business. The right people will volunteer. Let me repeat that. I don't have to talk anybody into this business. When the right people see the business plan and they see what makes us different, the right people will volunteer. And that's the first aspect of the psychology of the evaluation approach. Is my job is not to try to get anybody into the business. My job is just to get people to evaluate the business simply because they might know the right people. And in so doing, if the person I'm getting to evaluate is the right people themselves, they'll let me know that. They will tell me, because when we show the plan, they'll see what makes us different. But it's all about the psychology of getting people to evaluate the business. So I'm not trying to get them. So the psychological benefit of an evaluation approach is they don't feel like they're being pitched. They don't feel like they're being recruited. So here's a good thing. It's comfortable to me and it's comfortable to them. It's comfortable to me and it's comfortable to them. And such a big deal. Well, that's it. And Colton made a really good point just there. I love it. He said, you don't have to convince people that shop.com is good or the business is good. Another thing you have to realize when you're explaining the business to people is you just have to convince them that you are personally convinced yourself. That's a really good point, Colton. Thanks for that perspective. Really, really good. So so that's the first one. They feel comfortable because you're not trying to get them, and you feel comfortable because you're not trying to get them. All you're doing is being comfortable, confident, rolling through the business plan, and giving them the opportunity to evaluate the business because they might know the right people, and they're looking to help you out. I'm going to go through how that happens. So another benefit to that is this. No one can say I'm not interested. Here's another reason why the psychology of using the evaluation approach is so good. No one can say, yeah, I'm not interested in it. Yeah, I didn't think you were. I'm just looking to get the word out, and I'd like to share with you what it is I'm doing, so then going forward, when you come across somebody who could use what I have, you can recommend them my way. So it's important to realize that the evaluation approach gets you to the process where people can't say, I'm not interested, to avoid the meeting. All I want to do is let people know what I'm doing because the right people will volunteer, right? Again, very, very powerful. Hey, Peggy. Hey, George. So that's how that works. That's the second psychology. The third psychology is this. If I use the evaluation approach to get people to look, and I didn't try to get them while I'm approaching them, and I wasn't trying to target or get them while I was explaining it to them, you have to realize, guys, 8 out of 10 people are not going to do this. That's the business. 8 out of 10 people are not going to do this. So now, when you're sharing it with them, you're showing them that the majority of people, this isn't going to be for, but they might know the right people. And because you didn't try to get them, knowing that 80% are just not going to do this, it's not going to be a fit for them, or it's not going to be at least the right timing in their life, you're number one, planting a seed, and they saw you were professional and you weren't trying to twist their arm. And because of that, they're going to be more willing to come back to you when the timing changes, number one. But number two, they're going to be willing to give you a referral because they're not going to feel guilty to give you a referral to their friends because you're going to try to get your friends in. See, the one thing I found is the majority of people, if you don't get referrals, it's because the people that you're sharing the business with are afraid you're going to go try to get their friends in because you try to get them in. So you're not going to get a referral from people that way. And that's another reason why the evaluation approach is so important. It's just super simple to the point. And by the way, it's the most fun way to do it. And the last thing from a psychology standpoint, by the way, it's duplicatable. You don't have to have a skill. And also, it doesn't make people as susceptible to rejection, especially when they're first starting in the business, is when you ask people to evaluate it, there's less of a chance for people to say, I'm not interested, because you're not asking them to be interested in anything. So there's less rejection that comes from the evaluation approach. You just want to ask people if they'll sit with you and evaluate what you're doing because they might know the right people, and you'd really appreciate their support and help. And that's how that happens as well. So and anybody can duplicate the evaluation approach, and it's not as mentally draining on people because there's less of a chance to be rejected because you're not asking them to do anything. You're not directing approaching them. It's just people can't say they're not interested and make you feel bad for that. The last one, which I really, really like, is that, And there's so much more to the psychology of this, but when you use the evaluation approach, people literally aren't looking for a way out. See, when you approach people and you're approaching a direct approach with people, when they come to sit down and look at the business plan, now they're maybe not be paying attention and listening as well because they're concerned about figuring out how they're going to say no, even before they understand if there's anything to say no to. So when you approach people directly and say, hey, Lee, I want you to look at something. I think it would be great for you. I think we can make a lot of money together. Let me show it to you. That's a direct approach. The problem is he's thinking, wait a minute, why does Don want me to look at this? Wait a minute, oh, maybe it's one of those things. Oh, how am I going to say no without hurting his feelings? So one of two things is going to happen. He's going to cancel before the meeting even happens, so he's not put in a position to say no to me, or the whole time I'm showing the plan, he's thinking of reasons to try to say no. So in which case, he's not even paying attention. So anyway, there's a lot more to it, but that's the majority. It just duplicates better, and anybody can do it. It doesn't take skill. It doesn't take sales skill, and you don't have to get people interested because that takes skill to do. Average people just can't do that. You want to do things that are repeatable by large numbers of people. The key to this business is simple tasks that can be repeated by large numbers of people, and not complicated tasks that can only be repeated by small numbers of people. So that's how that is. So that's the psychology of the evaluation approach. There's more to it, but that's a start. I just hope you can buy into that. This is really good. Colton, I probably stole it from you, a lot of this, bro, so feel free, steal away, bro. And Lee said a really good point. He said you're immediately taking all the pressure off people when you do it. And all off yourself, too. Remember, I don't like showing the plan when there's pressure on me. I like to have fun. My number one thing about building this business is when I'm showing the plan, I want to have fun. And I don't want to feel like I have to convince people to do this. And I don't want them to feel pressure that I'm going to try to convince them. So I'm just going to say, hey, check it out. This may or may not be for you. I'm fine with it either way. I'm going to give you guys some of the variations. But hey, you might know the right people. And if you can lead me to the right people, I can work something out financially with you simply by leading me to the right people. So let me share it with you and see if when you come across those people, you'll be comfortable to send them my way so I can show you what makes us different. Something like that. I have some variations to share with you. So that's the psychology. Keep it simple. Anybody can do it. And it's so key. It's so powerful, okay? And that's what led me to be 7 years. There's been several years that I've been in the top recruiters of the company. Not because I'm great at convincing people in this business. It's just because I'm really, really good at going through numbers of people and have them comfortably evaluate because they might know the right people, in which case the right people volunteer. I just show more plans because I'm good at the evaluation approach. And that's the reality, how it works. And I will tell you that if you want to really learn some more about the evaluation approach, listen to Master Building Techniques. Master Building Techniques. Lee McMeeking just said 2 of these calls yesterday. He did 2 calls using this, and he got 2 confirmed appointments with the exact same approach. Because he and I just, 2-3 days ago, Lee, in England, we talked about it, and I helped him retrain his brain to stop trying to get people interested and just get people to evaluate. It's more fun for him. It's more fun with us. Really, really good. And Colton just said it's my favorite, too. It's my absolute favorite audio the company ever brought out with. It's called Master Building Techniques. So let's talk about the variations of this evaluation approach. It's the simplest thing to do. It's the easiest way to do it, and there's no pressure making the approach. No pressure making the approach. Really, really good. So, here's some variations, and I'm going to give you 4, okay? And you can tweak these and make these fit into your personal life, your personality, but I'm going to start with 4 of these variations that you can use in building it's really, really funny. I'm sitting here with Lisa's Motives Cosmetics O-ring, but you can actually see the light in my glasses. I just noticed that. So anyway, fashion statement. All right, here we go. So here's some variations. We're going to start. The first variation is for prospects. And remember, when I have a prospect and I just get done showing them the plan, my number one goal is to get them to get others to evaluate the business for them to see how they respond to it. I want to see the type of people that they can lead to. A lot of times, even before I bring them into the business. That's one of the secrets about the ABC pattern, in which we're going to talk about on on episode 3 of this 4-episode series. That's going to be on Friday at 12:30 Eastern Time live. Okay? But nonetheless, let's talk about a prospect. The evaluation approach that a prospect would use. Now, remember, this cannot be used once people in the business. It is completely inauthentic, and it just means you're a schemer and a scammer, and that's not what we are, guys. We're a real viable business that's built for the long run, and honesty is always enough. Remember that. Honesty is always enough. You do not have to exaggerate anything. Our business plan is phenomenal in and of itself. You don't have to exaggerate anything. Honesty is always enough, okay? So, here we go. Prospect evaluation approach. I have somebody that is evaluating the business. I have somebody that's looking at the business. I showed them the plan. They like what they saw, okay? And they want to, from there, see if this is a fit for them, you know? And at the end of the presentation, I asked them where they ranked on a scale of 1 to 3, and they say I'm a 2, 2.5. Okay, great. They're interested. And I say, well, listen, I can only work with 3s, so we need to get you through the process to get you either to a 3. And I also would recommend you not to say no until you're down to a 1. If you're anywhere between a 1 and a 3, we have more work to do together, okay? So, number 1, for a prospect, I'm going to say the best way for us to find out if this is a good fit for you or not is to get some people to evaluate it and see how they respond. See how other people are going to respond to this and see how they respond when you ask them to evaluate. Because here's the one thing I know. Everybody has an opinion and they all like to give it. Every human being has an opinion and they always like to give their opinion. So take advantage of that with a prospect. Since a prospect is new, I'm not having that prospect find out if he knows people who would be interested. That's a direct approach. My goal is I just want that prospect to get me in front of, within about a week or two, 10 people to evaluate the business because they trust their judgment and they value their opinion. So here's an example of an approach that I would teach a prospect to use. The first thing I want to do is teach them. I'll get there, Aaron. Just hang with me, okay? This is how we do it, all right? And so first approach is this. For a prospect, I showed the plan to somebody. They like what they saw. They said, I want to check this. I want to see if this is going to work, but I'm not ready to start yet, but I have some interest. I need more information. Great. First thing we need to do is we need to get some people to evaluate this thing because we want to see how they're going to respond, okay? So, first thing I'm going to tell them is don't try to get your friends and family into this business and do not try to get anybody interested. That's the first mistake that you will make. That'll derail you because they'll run on your parade and they'll make some assumptions. The only thing we want to do is we want to get 10 people over the next week or two to evaluate the business because you trust their judgment and you value their opinion. So here's an example that a prospect would use. A prospect would call up their friend. Let's just say I'm talking to Sawyer, who just got on. And I'm the prospect. And I met Colton. And Colton showed me the plan. So I would say, Sawyer, it's Don. Right? Listen, I need a favor out of you. Can I get some help? And you let them answer. Hey, can I get some help from you? I need a favor. Right? Great. I'm looking at a new business. And because of our relationship and because of the success that you've had, because I respect you as a person, I really want to get you to evaluate this thing because I trust your judgment and I value your opinion. I want to know what you think about this business before I make my final decision of whether I'm going to partner with it or not. Does that make sense? That is the first approach that a prospect would use to get people to evaluate the business. Now remember, I just want to see if they're coachable. And I want to see the type of people that they can get in front of the business that they value their opinion, that they think. See, remember, this is a way to recruit up, by the way, and be exposed to other people that are really, really quality, okay? So, again, a prospect before they make a decision is someone, and I'm not being manipulative. This is the most important thing I want you to get. This is not a manipulative approach. The reality of it is, if the prospect's not ready to make a decision, the number one thing that they want is other people's opinions. but they can't give them opinion until they actually see it. So this is a great way for me to get to my people's people, to have them get people to evaluate the business, but most importantly, from those 10 people that they'll get to evaluate it over that 2 weeks or so, week to 2 weeks, depends how aggressive they are. I know 2 to 4 of those 10 people are going to either give my new person a referral, or at least 2 to 4 of those people are either going to give a good referral of somebody that could be really good, or 2 to 4 of those people, by accident, sheerly because they saw the business and they see it's powerful, will volunteer themselves. Now, I'm not going to count on that, but I know that will happen a lot of times, and I didn't try to get anybody. They started to recruit me once they saw what made us different. And what I love most about that, guys, is I don't have to twist anybody's arm in that process. I don't have to try to make people do anything because I wasn't trying to get them in the first place. They recruited me once they saw it. I didn't recruit them and convince them to do it. The thing that I've noticed is when people convince somebody to get in, they spend the rest of their career convincing them to do stuff because they had to sell them to do it in the first place. My job is I just want to sift and sort and go through people and get exposed to people so that when the right people see it, they volunteer, and I know they want it because I didn't have to convince them and sell them to do it. And by the way, anybody can do that. I don't have to have a skill of sales. I just have to have a skill at what? Getting people to evaluate. Anybody can do that, okay? So that's the first one. Would you evaluate it for me and give me your honest feedback before I make my final decision? So good, so much fun, no challenges, and no pressure because you're not trying to get them and they don't feel like they're being pitched. And it's a great way for a prospect to see, almost like JR says, they get in deeper than they can get out. Man, it's good. So that's a prospect. That's a first variation. The second variation is a brand new partner. So I'm going to give you again, there's a lot of variations of these. You can really tweak these down. But I'm just giving you 4 of my favorites that 99% of people can use any one of these depending on where they are in their career and get enormous amounts of people. Colton, I appreciate it. I mean, Colton is one of the fastest growing company, and he said it's exactly how Michaela and him have built the business, and it's, I still do it this way. So anyway, all right, number 2 is new partners, right? So you're a brand new partner. You want to know how to do it. So this is kind of answering what Aaron's question was. How do you get them to evaluate it? Well, this is the approach that you would do. Again, guys, by the way, this cannot be done through text messaging, and it can't be done through email, and it really can't be effectively be done through any type of text communication. It has to be directly requested. So either on the phone with a live conversation or in person with a live conversation. I want you guys to really understand that because people can hear authenticity when you're actually talking to them. And it also, whenever anybody texts me something about business, I honestly think they're chicken. I think they're scared. I think they don't believe in what they're talking about. If somebody tried to text me about business stuff or try to introduce me to something from a business standpoint, but they do it through text is only good to use to get people on a phone if it's business or just talk about non-important, non-vital information. But anything vital has to be talked about directly, a direct conversation. And it's engaging too, not shortcut. I know people use cell phones because they're looking for shortcuts. And I know people use cell phones or text messaging or email or Facebook messaging because they're trying to shortcut the shortcut. Guys, 2 things. It doesn't work for the majority of people, and even if it works for somebody, it'll never duplicate, and people do what you do. So if I actually use the text communication that got somebody to do it, guess what will happen? Because I have like extra credibility than somebody else does, they're going to try to use text. It won't work for them, and they're going to quit and it was only because they're doing it wrong. It shouldn't be done that way. The only thing a text should be used for is saying, hey, Jason, I have a question. Give me a call real quick. So again, I know sometimes people don't pick up their phone the same as they used to, but that doesn't mean you can't get people on the phone just as easier. I don't do important conversations through text. I just don't. And you shouldn't either. Business, funny story. Yesterday, or 2 days ago when I got back from England, listen to this closely. This is crazy. This guy behind me, when I flew into Newark, I'm in the border patrol. And listen to this, because this proves the point I just made. He said to me, he goes, Don, or he said to the person behind me, he says, they were just talking where they're at. And they were like, I'm here for a meeting. And he goes, oh, how long are you here? He's like, literally, I leave tomorrow night. And he goes, wow, that's an 8-hour flight here and a 6.5-hour flight back for one meeting. Yeah, it's a 3-hour meeting. He goes, and the guy goes, couldn't you just do that with a video conference? And he goes, ironically enough, I work for listen to this closely. He goes, ironically enough, this was in Border Patrol line 2 days ago. He goes, ironically enough, I work for the largest video conferencing company in the world. But I have to meet this client in person because video conferencing is only good so far. When you have to do something important, it has to be a direct and engaging conversation where they can hear your energy or even best feel it by being in your presence. Man, it was really powerful. So understand, a guy from England had to fly to New York and to Newark and back, 6.5 hours or 8 hours here, 6.5 hours home for a 3-hour meeting to talk about his video conferencing business. Like the largest, he said he worked for the largest video conferencing company in the world, because there's only so far video conferencing can do. Guys, it's key. That's why you have to engage people directly. Stop trying to shortcut the shortcut, okay? So anyway, new partners approach. I'm a new partner. I'm in the business. I haven't made money. I just got started. So here's a good one. My goal is just to get people to evaluate because I'm trying to get the word out about what I'm doing, right? So here would be a new partners approach. Hey, Pat, this is Don. Do you have a quick second? I could use a favor out of you. I need some help. Great. The reason why I'm calling is I don't know if you heard or not, but I started a new business. And I'm really already looking to expand and bring a few people on with me to really take it to the next level. I really understand that you're busy, and I understand this may or may not be for you, and either way is fine with me. I'm not trying to, whatever. I just would like you to evaluate it for me, simply because in your everyday life, you might run into the right people, in which case, if you can send them to me, that would be a huge help to me. In fact, if you do that, I can make sure there's something in it financially for you too, just for the help. When can I sit down and share this with you? That's the second one. So good. So good. Works so great. And again, he can't say, yeah, Don, I'm just really not interested in looking at anything right now. I'm really happy with what I'm doing. Guys, 70% of my personal sponsors, well in excess of 100 of them, 70% of my personal sponsors, when they sat down to look at the business, they weren't looking at it because they were interested. Over 70%, they were looking at it because they were evaluating it to help me out. So Aaron's asking, what's in it financially for them? What's in it financially for them is a couple things. I can work out something. If they lead me to an executive coordinator, I'll pay them cash for that. They won't ask that, though. Most of the time, they say, okay, great. What can you work out with me? It all depends on what the referrals do. I'll explain that to you when we meet, right? And then I book the appointment, and I sit down, and I show them the plan. Now, one of the most important things to do, guys, is use the evaluation approach. I highly recommend having a third party with you. And we'll go from there. Aaron, it's all it is a tweak, Aaron. It's just a tweak of an approach. And that's the reason why we're doing this video. It's like everybody's at square one. And by the way, once you get it, it becomes the recruiting side of our business is the easiest part once you understand how to get people to evaluate and not try to get people. See, I'm not even worried about when I sponsor people. I just love the process of going through the numbers to find the right people. I could care less who says yes and who says no. And again, that makes people want to be part of it more because they don't feel like you're trying to get them or they're not being gotten, okay? So anyway, that's a good evaluation approach. Going forward for new partners, okay? And you sit down and roll them through it. That's new partners. I started a new business. I'm already at the point where I'm looking to expand and bring a few people on board with me, okay? Now, I understand you're busy, and this may or may not be for you, and I'm completely fine with that either way. I'm not looking for you to become involved. However, I like to evaluate it because when you come across the right person, you might be able to send them my way, in which case I can work something out with you financially. I can show you that when we get together. So that's how I address that. When's the best time for us to get together, right? And man, it takes some time, right? Aaron, let me make a recommendation for you. Listen to master building techniques over and over and over again. Within a matter of a week or two, you'll have this mastered. See, the only reason why it took Lee 2 years is because Lee wasn't listening to this audio when his boy told him to. I listened to that audio, Master Building Techniques, over and over and over again. Within a matter of my first couple weeks, I had that approach mastered. And that's the reason why my first year I sponsored, 16, 18 partners without even trying. I just was going through the numbers. And I had no skill or none of this before, okay? But that's that. That's the new partners. Again, it works. It's magic. And I absolutely love it. Thank you, Lee, for being honest, bro. You're my man. All right. Next one we're going to talk about is someone that's seasoned, okay? Somebody that's seasoned. Maybe you've approached people before. Maybe you made the mistake like I did early on where you try to get some people in. Maybe you were so excited about it that you think everybody in the world should do this because when you understand the plan, you realize everybody in the world should do this. And maybe you tainted your market a little bit. A bunch of people think you're trying to get them into something, right? So this is something as your seasoned professional, you're getting ready to grow and build again, right? So here's a good approach, evaluation approach that I would use, right? This is something that I would do now, right? I would call up and I say, that's the one, Aaron. Aaron, this is Don Martin. Do you have a quick second? I could use some help. Great. The reason why I'm calling is because remember I told you about a business a while back and I thought would be great for you. I was trying to get you involved. I just got to tell you, that was a mistake I made because I was so excited about it. I was trying to get everybody involved and it made people kind of feel something different about it. Let me just tell you, right now, I am on a complete mission to find some of the right people. And I understand because of how we talked about it before, this wouldn't be a fit for you because of, the timing in your life. However, what I'd like to do is see if you would mind evaluating this because you may know the right people and I'm looking to build out and take my business to a whole nother level. I've done really well so far. I've got a nice level of success. Now I want to go to the next level. And I'm looking for people that can help me do that and people that can work together. Would you mind evaluating this with me simply because you might know the right people that are looking? Now, the other thing I'll send in there is, remember, I understand that this probably won't be a fit for you, so I'm not looking to try to get you involved. I just want you to evaluate it because you might know the right people. If you can leave me the right people, I will make sure there's something in it for you financially. When can we get together? Would you mind helping me out? And most of the time, they will do it. It's so good. Now, Pat just said something. He said his appointment setting his success rate went over 90% when he finally started doing this approach. Guys, that's what you'll notice. The majority of people will give you the time because they don't feel pressure. And also it doesn't take skill. You just have to ask them. It's just a matter of that, okay? So that's the thing when you're already involved. So very simply, just a review again. I call up Pat. I say, hey, Pat, it's Don. Do you have a quick second? I'm looking for some help. Great. The reason why I'm calling is because, as you know, I have a business on the side. It's going pretty good. I'd like you to see if you can evaluate it for me because I'm looking to bring some more partners on board. I understand that from the last conversation we had that it's not for you, and I'm completely cool with that. All I'm trying to do is get some people to understand what I'm doing so then they know how we operate and are willing and confident to give me referrals when they see how we work. Very simple thing. I can work something out with you if you can lead me in the right direction. And my business is totally built on word of mouth. Keep it really simple. Okay, so that's that evaluation approach going forward as a seasoned professional. Okay, I'm looking to start another, unfranchise in my business, and it takes another one or two successful people. I know it probably wouldn't be for you from the last conversation we had because you weren't interested, but I just wanted to get you to evaluate it because you might know the right people. That's another great way you can do that, okay? It's all about getting to evaluate because they might know the right people and you can work something out with them if they do it. If you don't show them that there's something in it for them, they might not give you the appointment because they'll just make excuses. I can work something out with you that'll be profitable to both of us if you can recommend me the right person. But remember, you won't recommend anybody until you understand what we are and what we aren't. Because a lot of people have preconceived notions, and that's why I need to sit with you and show you what we do and how we work. I just don't want you to have preconceived notions because you won't refer anybody if you think we're something we're not. We're very different than what you thought. So that's that, okay? So phase 2, Aaron, is you shouldn't be doing that on your own. So that is where your senior partners come in. Myself, phase 2 is she says, explain the business plan is what she's avoided with the play because she's aware that until you're executive coordinator, you want to have a senior partner with you doing that the whole time. So let me, Nick, Maleva, and anybody, Lisa, anybody that's senior partners of you, we can do those with you as a third party because 2-on-1s are the best way to show the plan. Even for me to this day, I prefer to do a 2-on-1 even though I know what I'm talking about. So leverage your third party. Make sure you have a partner. That's what listen, 100% flows up. So don't feel guilty to ask people to do it. We should be there showing that with you, okay? And what you're telling them to evaluate is the business plan. That's what you're telling them to evaluate. So Aaron says, and what am I telling them to evaluate? The business plan. What we'll do, Aaron, is this. Me and Maleva can get on the phone with you, and Nick will get on the phone and help you really hone this down. Because when you master this, you're unstoppable. And everybody, you guys, you master these little evaluation approach, teaching your prospects to use them, and then use them on yourself, like for yourself, to your people, just getting people to evaluate, the right people volunteer. It's just a numbers game. This forces you to get to the goal of 2 a week for 52 weeks. And that's what we're going to wrap up the video on. You want to get 2 people a week to evaluate for 52 weeks. Now, I'm not even good enough to get 2 people a week interested to evaluate the plan for 52 weeks. And that's the mistake people think. They think, wow, I got to get 2 people a week interested to look, and people have all these preconceived notions. I'm not going to have that happen, so they don't believe in that. But anybody can get 2 people a week to evaluate for 52 weeks, because that gives you 104 people, and you're not trying to get any of them. But if you just go through those numbers and you just have fun with it and roll on through it and not have any pressure on you, any pressure on them, you do 2 a week for 52 weeks. At the end of the week, or at the end of the year, you're going to have 8 to 12 solid rock stars that volunteered, that you didn't have to talk into it, that want it as bad or worse than you, that are willing to do everything it takes because you didn't try to convince them and you didn't try to get them. They saw it and they volunteered. Or you got referral to people, and either way, that's the numbers game, and you don't have to convince anybody. There's not a person on this webinar that wouldn't get 8 to 12 solid rock stars in a 1 year if they just had 2 every week evaluate, simply because they might know the right people, for 52 weeks. It's a matter of mastering that process and leaving nothing up to chance. You're making money, and you're making weekly residuals at that point, okay? So that's the goal. Now, the last approach I'm going to share with you, a little one that I've used. It works for sure. It helps you practice, and it also lets people know that you are going to be in a position of leadership. Now, if this doesn't feel right to you at first, don't start using it till it does. But I love using it, and I've gotten several partners involved with the business sheerly by accident because of this approach. And I wasn't trying to get them. They just loved it because they did it. And this is the approach. I would say I'm calling Lee. I'll say, Lee, I need a favor out of you. What is it? Lee, I am in the position with the new business that I started in a short period of time to start doing presentations. I have to do presentations in front of small groups and large groups of people. I need to get some practice in on what I'm doing, and I can't keep showing my dog it all the time or present to my dog. Would you do me a favor and come just be my audience? Let me explain, let me just kind of go through my presentation on how, our model works, and you just be my audience, and let me know if it makes sense to you as I explain it, or maybe some things that you would recommend differently. It's a great way to get people in front of it, guys. It works so good. It's fun. It's easy. You're not trying to get them. But the good thing about it is after you explain, you say, hey, by the way, if since you saw it, if you know anybody who'd be interested in doing something like this, send them my way. And a lot of times they'll say, wow, this is brilliant. This is so cool. Or worst case scenario, I'm a little confused. I didn't understand this, that. You can also say, well, Lee, thanks for coming. Why don't you do this then? Come with me on Tuesday. There's a professional presenting it. Watch how they do it, and then you can tell me some ways that I can improve too from a third party. Now, obviously, that'll give them more perspective to refer and help you hone your presentation skills, but also they're seeing it done again professionally by a seasoned professional. Got it? I know sometimes people feel like this could be a little bit of a manipulated approach. If it feels like that, don't do it. I don't think it is, because it's the truth. When you get to a level in the business, you're going to start presenting, and there's nothing wrong with practicing in front of people. If they get interested by accident, that'll happen. But at the same time, this is one that I would use for really, really, really close, relatives and stuff, because, the worst thing you do is try to get your relatives in it, because they'll rain on your parade for sure. Now, wrapping this all up, guys, remember, all this is about is we're out there. It's so funny. I used to always say this. We're fishing, not hunting, right? But I got to tell you something, because Lee put this up there. But really, I've changed my perspective. I don't even think we're fishing anymore. I actually believe we're farming. See, when you go out there and hunt, you're shooting. Well, obviously, if you start shooting at people or try to get them into business, they're going to run. And by the way, they're not going to tell any of their friends about it because they don't want you shooting at their friends. That's a direct approach. An evaluation approach is more like fishing. You put out the bait, wait till someone hungry sees it, and when they bite, they get excited, right? But the reality of it is, it's not even that, because how many of you agree that even when you show the plan to the right person, if the timing's not right, they see it there, but they won't bite right away, and they might swim away and maybe never come back to it because it's not there. What I really believe we are is we're farmers. Every single time we show the plan, we expose the business, we expose the opportunity, we're dropping a seed, we're planting a seed within that prospect's life. Now, I don't know if their life is ready for this seed yet. I don't know if the environment and the soil's fertile and the timing in their life is right to grow that seed. I mean, it could be they might have had no rain. You might be dropping it on dirt that's as hard as concrete because the timing's just not right. But eventually, it might rain a little bit. There might be some topsoil that's added to it. They might start adding things in their life that makes it more possible for that seed to grow. All we need to do continuously is when I show the plan, I'm planting a seed, and I just need to be a part of the watering process, the adding the soil process by asking them what their goals are, asking what their dreams are, asking them what this business could do to help them if they show an interest. Having them get people in front of it, because if they don't have proper soil but somebody else does, it could make them, simultaneously become fertile themselves when it comes down to the seed. So remember, we're not hunting, and the truth be told, we're probably really not fishing either. 99% of the time, we're farming, we're planting the seed until the timing is right. When the timing's right, that's when that seed will grow, and it'll pop through the soil, and you have somebody to start working with. So that's today's episode. Thanks for being on. If you guys have any questions, you can throw them down now to clarify before I end this video. And we're back on tomorrow with number 2, which is 3 techniques on how to identify and find people out of your town where you can build new business out of town because of your senior partner's involvement in other towns without you having to leave town to build a business there. So we're going to give you 3 techniques on finding people in target markets so you can start and have a business start growing there for you without you having to go there. So that's what tomorrow's going to be like. So any questions or thing. So the Drawing the Plan Live is Monday at 12:30 Eastern Time. So 5:30 English British Standard Time, GMT, Lee. PM. So 12:30 in the afternoon Monday, I'm going to draw the plan on Facebook Live. So I'll take this, I'll face the thing down. You'll see it, and I'm going to show you guys how I draw out the plan on Monday, 12:30. Tomorrow, which is Thursday at 5:30, we're doing the how to find people in target areas. It's called Power Referral Networking is what we're doing. We're going to show you how to just go through the numbers to find the right people. That's tomorrow at 5:30. And then Friday at 12:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Time. I'm going to talk about the process of getting people to lead to people in a fun and exciting way. We're making this more and more fun than ever because when it's fun, everybody wants to do it. So we're going to talk about that on Friday. And then Monday, showing the plan. All right. Thank you guys for your time. Have a great night. Look forward to catching up with you. And guys, the success and growth is so much fun. Keep it going. Don't stop. We have more momentum than ever before. If you're not getting it, you got to just get back in the game because people are looking for what we have. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.